This is Elliot Forbes and this is episode number 15 of the Elliot Answer Show. Thanks a lot for clicking on the video today, guys. If we're just meeting, my name is Elliot Forbes and I'm a male grooming specialist based in London. This channel is dedicated to hair, beard and grooming tips for the modern man. So if that's you, you might want to consider subscribing. So today's question is, been growing out some mad curls for a while, what should I do with them? So when I look at this picture of yourself, when we look at the hair, if we look at then just at the silhouette of it, it looks very round. And round is not always the look that you really want to go for. I guess with a men's haircut, you want to go for a little bit more of a flatter silhouette, so a little bit flatter through the sides and then build up a little bit more corners through the roundness of the head. And we can see now actually it puffs out quite a lot in through the sides, but then sits in very flat in through the very top of the head. Now what that says to me is actually that you've probably let this to dry very naturally. So it's just sort of all that weight has then been sat down because it's then you've let it to grow out. There's a lot of weight that's then come through the side. The top has then grown out. All that weight is then dragging it to the bottom and it all then sits in very tight and high and heavy in through the top. So the first off thing that I would do, regardless of whether you were getting it cut or not, is be styling it very differently. So you can see obviously that all the weight is then sat on through the top. It's sat very flat. Really what you want to be doing is when you're getting out of the shower, you want to put a little bit of a pre-styler in. So something like a curl enhancer, something that's going to give it a little bit of body, a little bit of sheen, something that's maybe a defrizzing, something like that, or maybe even just some leave-in conditioner. And then what you want to do is you want to work that the whole way through the hair. So get that all the way from the root all the way then to the tip. So that's fully coated. And then what I would do actually is then I would dry my hair with a hairdryer, but you dry it with a diffuser. And a diffuser is an attachment that goes onto the end of a hairdryer. So that just then disperses the hair very gently, very softly. It basically is like having your hair air dried, but doing it quicker. So what I would do with this is I would tilt your head way forward to then have all of the hair not sat on your scalp. So all of the weight is off it, so it can sort of sit in the different directions. And then once that's all sat down through there, the hairdryer then coming from underneath, then have the hair almost then sat into the diffuser. So actually that hair is just then sat into it. The diffuser's the heat of that and the air is just when working the whole way through it. What that does is that if you have the hair sat off the root, it means the root's not being crushed and then it's not going to sit flat. You can then have that sit so it sits naturally with a little bit more volume and a little bit more shaping through there. So actually it's not just then flat, that can then actually sit up a little bit bouncier, a little bit more of a stronger silhouette to it and not as just plonked on through the top and almost as though it's a helmet. The next thing that I would actually do for this, I think the length you've got to do obviously is quite a bit of lengthening through those sides and also obviously through the top. So but what I would do now is, because you've just let it grow out, I would then actually take the top a bit shorter so that actually the shape can dictate how it's worn then, as opposed to just styling it with a diffuser. If you then take the top area a bit shorter, that can then sit a bit bouncier. It's not got all that weight then sat at the bottom and pushing out with some width in through there. That can then sit up a little bit bouncier, a little bit heavier. Then the potential actually for this is even to have like maybe a little bit of a fringe cut in through there as well, just to be able to wear it all a little bit more forward as opposed to pushing it back. Because obviously with the way it's being worn at the moment, just being pushed over to the sides, that also then what it does is it exposes the forehead and makes the forehead look bigger than actually what it is. It's looking at your forehead, it doesn't actually have a big forehead, but the way that it's being styled and the way that it's fallen to the sides, it exposes that and the focus very much goes towards the forehead. Once you then release that through the sides, if you have a fringe, then obviously that then comes and falls over the front a little bit more. That can actually be worn more forward, and that would then work really quite nicely. If it's being cut, I would still diffuse dry it. That will then still what that will do is that will be able to enhance the curls even more so. Then it will look even better than just styling it with a diffuser, with it not being cut. The only other thing then I would recommend with this is actually probably taking the back up a little bit. So you can see actually when we look at it from the shape that I can see here, it almost looks as though it's going from the top of the jawline and then it drops way down. So actually if you then brought that back up, it's not going to have such a slanted effect on it through there, because what that does is then from the side, if you think about it, if the hair here starts here and then drops all the way back down, it's pointing a line. And then with the forehead being exposed, it then makes this area look very long. If you were then to bring it back up, it then changes the shape of it slightly. So by bringing that up, that's going to draw less to the forehead as well. It's all about creating illusions, and if that shape is then readjusted, the way it sits in the different areas, and then you have a completely different look. So that's what I would say. So bring that up at the back, shorten through the front, and diffuse dry it so we can get a little bit more volume and you really get those curls. You don't want to be blow drying it with a normal hairdryer without a diffuser on it, because what that's obviously going to do is just then works it really hard, and then the hairs just go all separated. You don't get the curls in, it feels very frizzy then. The diffuser then enables the curls to sit nice and tight in the way that they should be with the curl, as opposed to just individual strands just flying everywhere. And that'll work really quite nicely, I would say. So if you have any questions for myself at all, please feel free to send me a message on any of my social media channels. They're all linked here and then they're all going to be down below. If you're enjoying these videos at all, please smash that like button and then press subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me if you did that. Thanks a lot for watching today. Much love, Elliot.